Hello, learners. I'm Cynthia Mwa, your Integrated Science Facilitator. Today, to welcome children. Before we start today's lesson, let's look at our assignments for the last time we met. Assignments: 1. Skin, sweat, kidney, urine, lungs, carbon dioxide, large intestines, feces. 2. Growth is the increase in size or weight of an organism as they eat well and progress in age. Let's look at today's lesson. And today, our topic is differences between living and non-living things. Differences between living and non-living things. And our objective for today is, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to differentiate between living and non-living things. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to differentiate between living and non-living things. Learners, before we start the lesson, let's look at examples of living things on our screen. Now, these are examples of living things. The first picture is eagle. Eagle. An eagle is a bird. It's a bird. Let's look at the next picture. Ants. Ants. An ant is an insect. The next picture is turtle. Turtle. Turtle is a shelled animal. The next one is owl. Owl is also a bird. We have a hen. A hen is a bird. Ladybug. Ladybug is an insect. An insect, ladybug. The next one is crow. Crow. A crow is a bird. Mosquito. Mosquito. Mosquito is an insect. And the next one is what? Rabbits. Rabbits. I hope you have seen rabbits before. Rabbit. Rabbit is a mammal. It's a mammal. Let's look at another one. We have tree. Tree too is a living thing. Tree. Goats. Goats. Goat is also a mammal. The next picture is lizard. Lizard. A lizard is a reptile. And a reptile has a scaly skin. It has scales on its body. And it lives on land. And our last picture is what? Maize plants. The other time we saw in our lesson a maize plant. And we said a maize plant is what? Has a fibrous root. So it is a fibrous root system. Let's look at another picture of non-living things. Non-living things. Now, from BS1 up to the present class that we are, we saw some living things. So let's look at non-living things too, to remind ourselves. Hearts is a non-living thing. Books, they are also non-living things. clock, clock, cup, coal pots, coal pots, table, table, chair, chair, shoes, shoes. We have stones, stones, bowl. These are what? Non-living things. They are what? Non-living things. Now let's go to our board. Let's go to our board. Living thing is an organism which performs certain life activities such as respiration. Respiration. And we saw in our previous lessons that when we eat, we get what? Energy to do so many things. To run, to work, to walk, to play. So when we eat, the food that we eat is converted into what? Energy. And we use it to do so many things. Now let's look at another one. Another one, sensitivity. Sensitivity. Now all these life activities that we are mentioning, living things cannot do. So let's look at the things that the living things can do. And we said respiration, sensitivity. Let's go to our screen and see what we mean by sensitivity and the sense organs. We have done sense organs in our previous lessons. And we saw that one of the sense organ is what? Human tongue. The human tongue is one of the sense organs. Let's look at another sense organ. Human nose. Human nose. Another one. Let's look at another one. Human eye. And we use the eye to do what? To see, as we have learnt it already. The human eye for seeing. And the last one, we have the ear, human ear. And the last one is what? The human skin. So these are the sense organs. That is what? Sensitivity. Let's look at another one, growth. Growth. Now, you see, children, living things grow. Let's talk about the human cycle. When you are born as a baby, as the other time we said, you have to crawl before you walk with the help of somebody. Then you can run. Then you can do so many things on your own. You become an adult, and then you become an old person. And then the next thing happens, only God knows. So this is what? Growth in living things. Let's look at another picture on the screen. Now you see a toad. A toad lays its eggs in water. And the eggs hatch into embryos. From the embryo, we get to the tadpoles with legs. And as the toad eats, it will grow to become what? A young frog. Then it becomes an adult frog. And also starts what? Laying eggs. So they grow, they multiply. They do what? They multiply. Let's look at another one in plants. Let's look at the seed of a maize. When you put it in the soil, it will never stay there and be there like that. It starts what? Germinates. Then it sprouts. It gets one what? Roots and two leaves. Then it starts growing to become seedling. Then it will bear flower. Then you get what? Fruit on it. So you see, it grows. The maize what? Grow. Let's look at another one. Another one is what? Reproduction. 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 Let's go to our screen and see what we mean by reproduction. Now this woman has her baby in front of her. She has reproduced a baby. Yes, so in her generation, they will do what? Multiply. They will multiply. The next time, she can give birth to a girl. And as her generation grows, they increase. Let's look at the goat. The goat has 8 kids. It also reproduces. And we have 2 kids. And as time goes on, its generation will also do what? Increase. And then we get so many of them. So the goat has also do what? Reproduce. Let's look at the hen. The hen has 8 kids. The hen lays the eggs and then sat on it, and it has kids. There are many. Some are under her. So the hen too has reproduced, and her generation will do what? Increase. Let's look at the plant. Which plant is this? Is it a banana or plantain? Let's look at it. This is a plantain. Now only one plantain was put in the soil. Now look at the small plantains on it, the suckers. And the plantain has reproduced plantain. This one, we can eat it. The next time when you come, you get another plantain. And it has do what? It has done what? Reproduce. This is what? Reproduction. Living things reproduce. Say it. Living things reproduce. Now let's look at another life process that living things undergo. And it's what? Movements. Movements. We move from one place to the other. Now let's go to our screen and see the movements of some living things. Movement of some living things. Children, let's watch. Let's watch. Now, what are these animals? Okay. Let's look at the animals. Which type of animals are they? Goats. Goats. We can see 2 kids. Now you have birds flying. The birds are doing what? They are flying, moving from one place to the other. They move on their own accord. Nobody supports them. Look at the bird flying in the sky, using its wings to fly. It's beautiful, can't you see? They are very, very beautiful. Look at it. Flying in the sky. So this is a movement of a bird. A bird can do what? Move from one place to the other. And the last one, nutrition. The last life activity that living things undergo is what? Nutrition. Children, let's say it. Nutrition. Now let's go to our screen and see how nutrition is done. Now we can see school children eating. Now when we say nutrition, we are talking about taking in food. So children eat. Adults eat. Human beings, we do what? Eat. Animals also eat. Let's look at another picture. Yes, animal. This is a bird eating. They are feeding. And the feeding, what they are doing, it will help them to go do what? Grow. Let's look at another picture. We have a goat also feeding. They feed on grass, as we saw in our previous lesson. Now this is what's feeding, nutrition. So let's go to our board. Now we said living thing is an organism which performs certain life activities such as respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, movement, and nutrition. And we said living things can be grouped into plants and animals. So the plants and animals, they undergo the life activities that we saw on our screen. Now let's look at the definition of what? Non-living things. Non-living things can be grouped. Non-living things are things that cannot perform life processes or activities. So what we saw on our screen, non-living things cannot do. They cannot do what? Eat and get energy to do what? To walk. They cannot do what? Sense. When you put a stone there, if you put hot water on it, the stone will not react. It will not do anything. But when you put hot water on your skin, immediately you will remove your hand. So living things, they do what? They sense. But non-living things, they do not sense. Growth. Living things grow. But non-living things cannot grow, as we saw on our screen. Living things reproduce. They multiply. When you put a book there, it will be there. 100 years, they will never reproduce. They will be like that. Where you put it, it will be there. The same thing applies to stones, coal pots, and the rest of the non-living things. They cannot do what? Reproduce. And then movements. Living things cannot move on their own accord unless they are moved by something. Now one may say a car is non-living thing. Now how can a car move? A car moves. So somebody can ask, why is it that a car moves but it's not a living thing? You see, we put petrol in the car and somebody does what? Directs it. So when the car is there, the car itself is non-living things, unless you move it. But for living things, we move on our own accord. The car, somebody helps it to move. So children, don't be confused. A car is a non-living thing. And nutrition. Now living things do not feed. They have nothing to feed on it. When you put stone, a cup, a bowl on the table, it cannot feed. But living things do what? Feed. When we feed, we grow. So non-living things cannot do what? Feed. So non-living things are things that cannot perform life activities or life processes or activities. So these are the differences between living and non-living things. Living things respire, whilst non-living things do not. Living things sense, whilst non-living things do not sense. Living things grow, whilst non-living things do not grow. Living things reproduce, but non-living things do not. Living things move on their own accord, but non-living things do not move. Living things feed, but non-living things do not do what? Feed. So these are the differences between living and non-living things. Learners, this is how far we are. Now let's continue. So let's go to our summary for today, our lesson. Living thing is an organism which performs certain activities such as growth, sensitivity, respiration, and excretion. Non-living things are things that do not perform life activities. They do not do anything. If you put it there, they will be there. But that doesn't mean they don't have uses. They have their uses. A book, you can write in it. We use cup to drink water, a bowl to eat in it. When they are not there, we cannot do whatever we want to do with it. You find some. So children, living things and non-living things have their own uses. They all have uses. But the differences are what we have done today. So this is our assignment for today. Give 3 differences between living and non-living things. Give 3 differences between living and non-living things. So today, we will end our lesson. Hope to see you next time. Until then, bye-bye.